Hello. Let me share it first. So you're welcome to my life. This is Healthy Food Place, where we share ideas and recipes on how we can stay healthy naturally. I'm your host, Grace Enyamali, President and founder, the Grace NGO Foundation. And through this channel, I'm also sharing my own experience. Most of the things I share here are the things I have put into use, the things that has helped me over the years. And so these are the things I share most times. And today, precisely, I want to share on the top protein foods that are available for diabetics and pre-diabetics. Not only this category of persons, but even all the health conscious persons. And so if you are just coming across this channel for the first time, kindly hit the subscribe button so that you'll be notified whenever I am live. I have come to realize that protein is usually scarce. Yes, it is not until recently also, and as time went on, that began to discover that protein is scarce. Talking in terms of scarcity, protein is scarce, especially in our environment here. And so when you are growing older, it's also important to be more selective in order to avoid, more selective in terms of the food choices you make, to ensure that you get sufficient protein in your diet. Protein is very, very important because it is the building block. I think I want to also conclude that most times it is insufficient protein in the diet, or poor absorption of protein in the diet of most elderly persons, that actually open the doorway for most diseases, because I have realized that protein is not so easy to get here. And so today I want to share some of the proteins in my own diet. There could be others in your own location, wherever you are. But I want to share some of the common ones in our environment today, because obviously a lot of people are also concerned about the protein issue. They are wondering, so what should we be eating? And when you try to examine our environment and the diets around, you will have no doubt but to agree that protein is scarce. And you cannot effectively manage high blood pressure, high blood sugar, any ailment. I mean, trying to take back your health naturally without the inclusion of sufficient daily protein. When I mean sufficient daily protein, it is easier to compromise in other areas like carbohydrates and the rest. But when it comes to protein, it is difficult to compromise. I mean, to try to negotiate. Because I have looked around, most times, if you are not taking meat, it is difficult to get complete protein in the diet. Some have considered plant-based, but over time too, you will soon realize that most of the plant-based diet I mean, plant-based protein, which is basically in the legumes family. Beans, legumes. Some of them have their own shortcomings. So as we go, we continue to make search. We continue to test out on available proteins that we can, include in our daily diet. Where can we find them? And so I want to share some of these ones, and this may also include some of the animal proteins, which I have often said that they are complete in terms of amino acids. It is not, I do not suggest total exclusion. If you think you want to exclude all animal protein, but reducing to the barest minimum. I am not I'm not living totally on plant-based diet. I mean, plant-based protein. But I am also gradually switching to that aspect. And it is for this reason it is advised that we often, stay connected and be updated, because the life or the food choices last year, a year ago, or 2 years ago, which I was making or using, for instance, my breakfast a year ago, have changed. And that is how it should be. You need to continue to make changes. If you are consuming, for instance, a lot of carbohydrates in the morning, and your body begins to inform you, to talk to you, that the carbs, they are getting too much, you begin to do something about it. Yes, you have to do something about it. There must be a way. There must be something you have to do to reduce the starch and the carbohydrates. And the understanding a lot of us are having also is that foods like unripe plantain, foods like wheat are the last option for the diabetics and pre-diabetics. But the answer I have here is no. Because wheat is a source of gluten. I will speak on these things because of the, interactions I have with a lot of people, and most of them is relying and still relying on these two foods in our environment for energy and maybe for protein or whatever. Looking at, I made a video recently on trying to show us why consumption of yam is not recommended, but potatoes is a better, sweet potato is a better option. And so, talking of the protein now, I have also observed that the wheat is what a lot of people are opting for protein or for fiber or whatever. But that is not the answer when talking of protein. Protein in wheat is not easily accessible. The protein in wheat, basically, it is fiber that it comprises of. But then, even the protein in wheat, and not only in wheat, in most of the grains, are not easily accessible. And that is why accessible by the body. I need to let us know. Cannot easily be accessed by the body, by our body. It's one thing for you to consume a food. It's another thing for the body to make use of it. Sometimes you may consume something. Yes, you may have the feeling that you are full, the hunger is gone. But has the body used it? Is that food having complete amino acids that is needed for the body to use it, both the amino acids that are required from the body and the one from the food, which is needed to have the completeness? Certainly, sometimes the answer is no. And so we sometimes eat certain foods, but they do not, I repeat, they do not do the work we expect them to do. You consume some foods like beans. I'll give you an example. Beans is the protein a lot of us rely on. Oftentimes, I try to reduce its consumption, but when the body places or gives the demand or shows up with a demand that there is need for protein, for more protein, we still go back to protein, to beans. But there are different variety. That is also another aspect we need to know. There are different, we have pinto beans, we have black-eyed cowpea, and I tell you, each one of them is different. In the legumes and beans family, they are different in the sense that the composition and the digestibility is what makes me pick out the black-eyed cowpea as my own preferred protein. And that is what I also suggest if you're talking of protein. But yet, when taking the black-eyed cowpea, preparing it, it's important to put other things like green vegetables. Yes, you can pick any green vegetable of your choice. Put other things like onions when preparing it. That is a reason why, because it will reduce the quantity you are consuming at a time. Because most of these foods have a tendency to, to cause more waste during digestion. Let us put it that way, more waste during digestion because of the protein. And those who are having kidney issues, who are trying to be mindful of protein in their diet, definitely we need to add low-calorie veggies like garlic, onions, mint, to make it more in the diet so as to be able to be okay for their health condition. And so among that, in the beans family, that black-eyed cowpea has been my first choice because it is easier to digest. Yes, it is easier to digest, and then apart from being easier to digest, it has the ability also to lower the nutrients that help those that are also managing high blood pressure. And so that is one of it. And then in that family, we have the pigeon pea, which is also very high in fiber. The pigeon pea, a lot of us, you go find the pigeon pea is very, very good also when you are talking of protein and fiber for managing diabetes. But a lot of people don't try to eat it. Maybe they are not familiar with the pigeon pea. Pigeon pea is very, very, good in terms of fiber and even protein, lighter protein that can keep you full for hours, for several hours. And that is what is needed to manage ailments like diabetes, even high blood pressure too, to reduce that urge to eat. Let the body have the fiber, the plant-based fiber. And so when you look at you also have the kidney beans, but incidentally, I do not actually use much of the kidney beans because some of them takes longer to cook. Even the pigeon pea is also sometimes difficult because of other factors. Taking your time, spending your gas, we know how expensive these things are. And so some of us try to reduce their consumption, and exactly I am also not left out in this aspect. And so these are the major ones. But there is also another one which I also rely on for protein. And that is the one that is often, we call it okpa. The eastern part of Nigeria. It's a good source of protein and it's a bone-strengthening food. I rely on it too because they often sell it removing the peels. The covering just like beans before preparing. So it comes out like moi moi. And so they even sell some of it dried so that you can go make it yourself. Though I haven't tried those ones, but occasionally I also get from those who are professionals in preparing it. We have those from Ebonyi, from Nsukka, and various regions in the east. who are good in preparing it. It's a good source of protein. And we can also include that, whether diabetics or other, it's a bone strengthening food. And so that is also part of it. And then I also have the seeds. Seeds, which older adults should take advantage of. You have to include more of the seeds. What of the black seed? I love the black seed so much because it's a source of protein too. A lot of us are not familiar with it. I will be showing us the black seed when next I come online, even if it's not the topic, but I may also show it on my channel. The black seed is it's a source of protein. It's very light, light protein that diabetics, high blood pressure, and other ailments that is sensitive, you need to include it to be able to meet up with the body's protein requirements, because what we are searching for on a daily basis is where to find protein. So you can find it in that black seed. Yes, it's a source of protein. Then sesame seed is another good one that you can also rely on, minus little protein that you can get to smuggle. I call it smuggle them into your diet. Maybe when you are making your oat is a source of protein. A little amount of protein, B group of vitamins, potassium. Then you can smuggle those ones inside also. Then there is also there are a lot of other seeds that we can also take, like the one we use in seasoning our soups. Even the fermented oil bean seed, which is they use in oiru, the castor oil that they use in making ogiri, they are all protein. Even the dawa, these are seeds. Some of them are fermented. I rely on them a lot too. Yes, in case you are still wondering, so where can I get protein to add in my diet? You can even buy some of them already dried. Some of them, dried out. They may not look attractive most times. Most times they have a kind of smell depending on the seed. But the Southeast, for instance, most times I think they use the castor oil to make their own ogiri. Then here they use their own type of seed here to make the roux. And there are other seeds they use, whether dawa, ukwenye, and the rest. All of them are good sources of protein. And so those who are using bouillon cubes and other artificial taste enhancers, by the time you add these fermented condiments in your soup or in your stews, you are also including protein. And if you are searching for protein, you can increase the quantity mildly in order to up the protein, because they are seeds. The older we get, the more of the seeds we should rely on. The ogbono is also a seed. Some of them are quite expensive. Yes, you will now understand why I say that protein is scarce, because they are protein. We never knew they are protein. They are protein in form of seeds. There are a lot of other seeds. Like I said, some may not be known to those in this region. But we know that there are varieties of it. Some we cannot mention, but these ones are the ones that I use on a regular basis. These local condiments, African oil bean seed. You can also include all of this moderately when cooking your soup or your stews, in order to bring in protein in your diet. The peanut butter. Yes, peanut is mildly inflammatory, but because of the high protein content, I also try to take it occasionally. It's very good. The protein is almost as high as that of beans, but just to reduce the quantity for older adults because of the tendency to cause inflammations. We can take it mildly in the morning. We can make our own peanut butter, adding things like cayenne pepper, black peppers that reduces blood pressure. These are things we can, put knowledge to work and prepare our own little, peanut butter, adding, ingredients that can lower blood pressure, that will not allow it to clog our arteries. Because when it begins to clog arteries, to cause blockade, that's when inflammations and other negative effect comes up. But when you can make your own peanut butter, because the ones they do sell outside, even though sometimes they write on the labels 100% natural, I have tested a good number of them, but over time I found out they add either sugar or other things. So it's best to make your own, and you can even use sea salt instead of the type of salt, if you must use salt. These are the things that you can do to bring in protein in your diet. Our eyes are more on protein in managing ailments like high blood pressure. Diabetes, yes, high blood pressure, pre-diabetics and diabetes. So you have to include the peanuts in a little amount, because it's also a source of plant-based protein, but beware of the quantity. I take it moderately also, mildly. Then oat is also another one that I take almost on a daily basis because it's a sort of B complex. But I take it, most of the time, mixing it with other starches to help boost my energy most of the time. But apart from that, soya beans is also another complete protein that I normally put in small amount. Always ensure I have it at home because it has what we call complete amino acids. Make sure it's well processed. Add it either a little to your soup, a little to your oats, a little to whatever, just to ensure that there is protein in that meal. If you are not, some have allergy to some of these things. So if you don't have it, you go ahead. I use it. I include it moderately also to ensure that I get protein, and it's also good. But you must remember that it is also inflammatory. And so you mustn't take too much. It is taking the extra that makes us run away totally. No, not at all. Sometimes when you take too much of this, some of this food, not just any of them, and it shows off the ugly side, we run away completely. We say the food is bad. No, not altogether bad, but the quantity and then sometimes the timing can make it respond or give us a negative effect and feeling. And so soya beans is a complete protein, and I do often, as much as possible, ensure to include it in little amount to not to get protein in my diet. Then another food is cocoa. Yes, the pure cocoa is a source of healthy fat too, and some amount of protein. You must also rely on it. It's bitter. We know it. The cocoa, not the Bonvita or whatever, the cocoa, it has some amount of protein there. Though it has a mild form of caffeine also, which is not, I do not recommend it that you take it on a daily basis, but include it moderately for your little amount of protein and then healthy fats also. I'm talking of the cocoa. Those who have access to good honey is a good one. I do have it from time to time, but not all the time because of too much of adulteration. That's small amount of protein also, which is good for liver health. The protein in pure honey but it's very hard these days, and so that's why I do not rely much on it for protein, but do occasionally include it. Then another aspect is green vegetables. Yes, you heard me. Green vegetable is also a good source of protein. You can rely on it on a regular or daily basis, adding variety to help you. But only the green vegetable is not enough. Yes, you will need to add other things to make it complete. And so green vegetables is also a way you can get some of the proteins, vitamins, minerals. And the good thing about it is that it's usually low in calorie, low calorie. That is the aspect that makes it also makes it to stand out. Talking of all the green vegetables, each one is unique. So some are higher in antioxidants, like the bitter ones. Like if you talk of the bitter leaf now, you cannot be relying on bitter leaf for protein. It's mostly antioxidants. It can be classified as herbs. So when you are talking of protein, it's not actually all the veggies. Each one is unique. There are some that are, higher and richer in protein, little amount of protein. Even the avocado is a source of protein when it is in season, small amount of protein. Even the cashew nut is also a source of proteins, some amount. I often use these ones, have them around all the time to ensure that you are smuggling in protein, because that's what the body needs more than most things that we are consuming. Most times, what the body is searching for is protein. That's what I've discovered, both in old people, in older adults, and in children alike. It is the protein it is searching for to use and build the body, to use and repair the cells. And so these are some of the proteins that you can also include in your diet if you're managing diabetes or pre-diabetes. And then there are some oils also that comes with some amount of protein. Yes, there are some oils, little, even like the almond is also a source of small amount of protein. The nut, the almond nut, you can also include it. Some oils, you can rely on them for small amount of protein, depending on where the oil is taken from, whether it is pressed from a fruit or is pressed from a seed. It will determine the content of the oil. And then sometimes the seed, the essential oils also, I do use some of them. Like I said earlier on, the sesame seed oil is good. The black seed oil is also okay. So if you find anyone around you that you know is a source of protein, get hold of it and begin to find a way to incorporate it into your diet. What about the crayfish? The crayfish is a source of protein, but you don't have to take too much of it because of it's high in sodium. If you take too much, it's going to raise your blood pressure. I'm talking of the crayfish. It's a source of protein. Another protein that I rely on, though it's quite expensive now, is the sardines. It's difficult for me now, most times, to even put my mind on fish. Most fishes are highly toxic, but it's another source of protein, fish. Yes, sardines, fish, or whether it's dried one, but ensure that as much as possible that they are the healthy fish. We have a host of varieties of fishes that sometimes some of us focus on one particular fish. Maybe what we call panla fish. Maybe it's not even affordable as it used to be before, but it's the one that is usually available. And so a lot of us just focus on one fish, maybe panla fish, and be using it to cook on a daily basis. Sometimes the financial and other things affects us. All of us, we're in it together. But the point is that we should remember that some of the fishes, some of the things we're focusing on eating only one kind of the fish may not supply the omega-3 that we need, even for our joints. The omega-3 that we need to support our organs, our brain, and a lot of other things, including our bones. So when I'm looking out for protein, I focus on the sardines. I rely on it. It helps me. Though these days the sardine has gone, the price has gone some, I don't know, it's gone very, very high. One canned sardine. But a lot of people also have access to fresh sardines. I have talked with people who have access to get the very fresh sardine. And besides the fresh sardine, anytime I see white fish, any white fish in the market, any fish that is white, it's a good source of my own, brand of protein. I go for it, but they are usually scarce. So white fishes are also good and easily digestible, and they do not feed yeast. I also rely on the white fishes, the sardines, for the protein. Then what about eggs? Egg is also good, though high in cholesterol, but it's a source of complete protein. We don't have to leave it out. I don't leave it out. I don't take it every day. I've reduced its consumption. As a matter of fact, I've had one today, but I may not take tomorrow or next tomorrow. But before, I used to have to take it almost daily. But why am I also reducing its consumption? Because there are too many hormonal issues arising from, the drugs and the treatment given to these animals, the birds, the chickens. They receive a lot of treatment, and some of them are not even well, treated. So they just lay eggs. The eggs are not so organic, and that is why I'm also reducing its consumption. Yes, they're not so organic. And what about the chia seeds? I use the chia seed also. It's a source of protein. In case you are not aware, you have to soak some quantity of the chia seed, like a teaspoon, to get your omega-3, to get your calcium, to get a lot of the proteins. It's one source of protein that I also rely on, especially also when I think I need calcium. But most importantly, is an aspect that you can also, those of us who like to take oats in the morning, you can soak some chia seed, like 1 teaspoon of your chia seed. I don't normally like to recommend high amount because it has its own little calorie. From my own usage of it, it has its own little calorie. When you soak it for about 3 hours or maximum of overnight, if it stays beyond overnight, you start growing as if you're trying to, grow. You just see it sprouting out as if it's growing in the water. So you don't have to stay beyond overnight, or you can even soak it in the morning. If you tend to use it for breakfast, you can soak it as you woke up, and if about 2-3 hours, it's soft enough, you can add it to your oats or just drink it. It doesn't taste nice anyway, but it's a source of protein. Sometimes I was also using the flaxseed, which is a source of protein, but I've also reduced it because most of the flaxseed I don't have sometimes we don't really have the things to blend it soft. That is the challenge we have. And then the point about the flaxseed, which a lot of people are not aware of, but I need to let us know, it's a very nice food, healthy protein, especially for women. Good for your colon, but most times they grind this flaxseed and allow oxygen to mix up with it and leave it there for sale. I have seen it both in supermarkets, and by the time oxygen interacts with it, it doesn't, do the work we expect it to do again. But a lot of people innocently also and ignorantly do sell the flaxseed like that. After grinding it, they package it, and then people are buying. But when you test it and you know how a freshly ground flaxseed, each time I want to use it, I check it and ensure that it's not expired, and then once I blend immediately, I use a maximum of 3 days. For the leftover, I make sure it's covered. But most time they grind it, grounded flaxseed, and then pack it, selling it, I mean, exposing it to interaction with oxygen, which is not good. And that's why some people, when they take it, I have also heard people who reported to me when they take it, maybe their bones were paining. It's not easy to absorb when it has interacted with the oxygen. It doesn't get absorbed easily. I've also had the experience, and that's why for some time, I took it out all, despite that it's a source of protein. But why I'm mentioning it, that some people have access to grind the quantity they need and take it immediately. And that's the best way. If you have the way to grind the quantity you need, or the quantity you can finish in 3 days, that's the best way you can get it quickly absorbed without giving you some discomfort like joint pains, backache. These are the reports that I have received, and I have also experienced it. And that's why I tend to leave it out for now. I mean, I'm talking about flaxseed. It has some reasonable amount of protein that can support, especially those who are menopausal women and those who want to lose weight. I've also been using it, but over time I've decided to stay off it because of the requirements, which are not usually met in having it well absorbed. I have also seen people mix it with some other products, selling it, but it doesn't. It's because of ignorance that most of them are doing it. It doesn't follow that way. And so the flaxseed, the chia seed, the pure cocoa, the soya beans, the eggs, the sardines, the white fish, your crayfish, your peanut butter, just name it, even the ogbono, the castor oil ogiri, which is used in fermenting ogiri in the East, the roux, they are all good sources of protein. The crayfish, the fish. I have not even talked of meat, because if I talk of meat, a lot of people will just walk away. Yes, some people just walk away and say they're not interested in what this woman is talking. Is telling us to eat meat. But a lot of people are enjoying meat, even at their old age. So it depends on blood group too. Some people can digest meat effectively. But if you cannot, don't condemn anyone that is enjoying him or herself. Me, I've tried to reduce its consumption, but it's a source of complete amino acid. If you can get it very well dried, I'm hoping to test that one out. Very well dried. I think it will also make a good addition because of the cholesterol aspect. Those who are already dealing with cholesterol will definitely not want to include meat and other stuff. But egg is one that I suggest because of low calorie, because of the vitamin A, because of the anti-inflammatory nature that I suggest, and it has some amount of protein. We should continue to include it. I also try to leave it in my diet because of these aspects of the egg. I mean, talking of egg, but reducing it because of the treatments the chickens are given, and then the way it affects our hormones, especially women. We are more affected in this area. And so looking at other protein sources, let me quickly also round it up that apart from this, there are some that are not so, some of us, I don't usually actually use them most of the time, but we can also take advantage of them. Pumpkin seed is good for your brain health. but I don't often take it, although I have it currently, but I don't take it often. So most times we should search out and look out for protein, because protein is actually most times what is missing in the diet. If you are looking at a breakfast now, for instance, what will the breakfast look like? My own breakfast. When you start a breakfast with maybe fruits, oranges, and this and that, then you soak a few, as when you soak a spoon or half spoon of your chia seed, which you definitely will not do every day. And then you get your oats. You can make it and then take it, mix it together. I mean, after making your oats, you add your chia seed, add your date powder or dates as a fruit, and use it for your breakfast. And then at other times, you consider also something like sardines. Sardine, removing the oil, remove the oil completely. You can also consider it. What of bread? We have not gone there. No. Occasionally, once in a while also, I do take a little, like one slice. Though we often say, no, 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 don't go there. But I also use it once in a while, a long while, mixing it with a lot of other protein, because it has small amounts of protein they often add, even though they add all the trans fats, all the butters and the rest, but they still add up a little amount of protein when you check some of the labels, but definitely not an everyday treat, not an everyday food. And so when you look at another form of breakfast, you consider adding cashews, consider adding things like avocados, make I mean the cocoa we talk about, and add soya beans to it. It makes a good, something that looks like a smoothie. You can have it. And have your nuts, little amount of nuts, if you like. If you don't like, take it. Sometimes also, it may surprise you. I use the Jebu Gari. It doesn't have much protein, but I add soya beans there to make the protein source, to make it look like a smoothie, and then can have it occasionally for breakfast. Adding some cashew nuts to it. I already made a video recently on it, because some of us are often worried that what should we eating? Like now that the weather is quite hot, some of us are even afraid of making tea. Tea is best when the weather is hot. But now the weather is even very hot. Should we be drinking so much tea? That's exactly what we're saying. When you are drinking the tea and the place is hot, you won't feel good about it. And so, for a breakfast, I've already given us an idea. You start your fruits, your detox fruits, carrots, and all the other. If you take your oats, for instance, today, tomorrow you can take your cocoa, adding a little of soya beans. Don't forget to add cinnamon. Don't forget to add a pinch of cinnamon inside your cocoa, especially for those managing high blood pressure. And are you also aware that these tiny seeds or spices, they even have protein, some of them. They have nutrients. They have calcium, they have nutrients. But though they are seeds, they are spices, tiny, but they also have nutrients that can support us in building a stronger bone. And so we should not ignore them, even though we should not take them in excess. That is about it. I tend to round it up at this moment. And if you have just joined for the first time, don't forget to subscribe, because I shall be coming up with another update to help us stay healthy naturally. Thanks for watching, and keep staying healthy naturally.